Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you for a album review, and I will have another video coming out in a little bit on Zach Gattuso in a bit, because apparently he's mentioning me, and I'm gonna be like, okay, gotta talk about him in a second. So pretty much this is for While She Sleeps, his new record, Self Hell, that I got a chance to listen to for this 12-track record. So I'm gonna discuss what I listened to for While She Sleeps, his new record, Self Hell, and let you know my thoughts on this long awaited studio album we've been waiting for since October of 2023. So, because the first single came out around that time, I think it was September. So, let's dive into this album review. Now, it starts with Peace of Mind, which is the intro track. It's a minute and 20 seconds of a song. It's not terrible, it's pretty good in its own way, but I found there to be some critiques. A slight few critiques I had with the tracks mixing and just how the rapping sounded. It was hit or miss, so it was fine for what it was. 4.75 out of 5. Leave Me Alone was a great single. I really enjoyed this. This was the last single that came out before the record came out, which is going to be officially out in at midnight tonight. So pretty much Leave Me Alone was one of my favorites. There was some rapping in it, but with how Laz Taylor was screaming the track, I was really impressed. And the guitarists and bassists and all that singing in the background sounded really good. So I really liked the chanting vocals too. It sounded really good too. But overall, it's a pretty strong track for a single too. So 5 out of 5. Rainbows was actually pretty good. I mean, some of it had its cringy moments, but overall, I think the track did pretty well for how it turned out. For almost 4.5 minutes, so it's like 4 minutes and 22 seconds, but it's a pretty strong track. 5 out of 5. Self Held, the title track for the record, which was also the first single before this album came out. This song officially came out in September. I believe it was September, like late September of 2023. And off the bat, it started growing on me throughout time. The Let's Praise the Love Inside of Us, that does get a little repetitious and a bit annoying, but overall the track is still mixed pretty well. And I think it's one of my favorites as of now. So 5 out of 5. Wildfire is going to get a 4.75 out of 5. I don't know if I like this one too much, but it's fine for what it is. So it's still a strong track in its own way. Just has its hit or miss moments. No Feeling is Final, featuring Aether, um, or Ether, however you pronounce it. I think the A is silent. This was a interlude track. It's just an instrumental and all that, and the melody sounded pretty interesting. With going into the next song, which the next song is Dope Sick, which I found that to be one of my favorites. For how it sounded. I mean, there were some moments where I felt it was a little cluttery, but still strong. But still, No Feeling is Finals getting a 5 out of 5. The mixing for this 3-minute song was quite outstanding, and I really did enjoy it as an instrumental track and an interlude track to the next track. So, Dope Sick featuring Stone, great song. For 4 minutes and 28 seconds here, I'm pretty much surprised with how the mixing and how these songs have good cliffhangers going into the next tracks. Close to the end of the album, the cliffhangers are quite outstanding. So pretty much 5 out of 5 for Dope Sick. Down featuring Malevolence, great track. I really like this song for how when it came out back in December. It was a great single and a great song still for this record. So 5 out of 5. I like the screamer guy's vocals from Malevolence. He did really well in this track, and Laz Taylor's screaming vocals were quite outstanding too. To the Flowers was the third single before we got to the Leave Me Alone single that came out a month later. To the Flowers was one of my favorites. I really enjoyed this track. Probably a personal favorite from this record, and going into the next song, which is another instrumental melody track um, for an interlude. So there's a couple interlude tracks, like two at least, that get you through the record. But still, To the Flowers, great song. I love the meaning behind the track. It's a pretty sad and emotional track with what it's telling the listener, but overall, um, it's still a great song. 5 out of 5. Out of the Blue had great mixing moments in this track. There are some electronic moments that do sound pretty well executed, but in a good way. So I think they pulled it off with this track to uh, mixing wise, and just instrumental interlude was pretty good. So 5 out of 5. Enemy Mentality is another great song. It's the second to last track before you get to the closing track, and it's a great song. So I think they pulled it off with this one too. Laz Taylor's screaming vocals and the backing vocalist's clean vocals sound really amazing. Some of the chants in this track with their singing was pretty outstanding. So this is a 5 out of 5. And finally, we get to the closing track, Radical Hatred, Radical Love, an acoustic chanting, choir chanting song, but sounds really good with the chanting vocals. And it is the last song to close this record, unfortunately, but it's still a great way to close this record. So I'd give this a 5 out of 5. Overall, production, mixing, and execution wise, I don't know, but I actually found myself really loving this record. It's probably one of my favorite albums, along with Sum 41's new record that came out this is coming out tomorrow. So pretty much, if I were to give this record an overall score, I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. Great album from While She Sleeps. It's as good as Sleep Society, because both those albums were pretty good. There were some mixing moments with Sleep Society, but that were good executed and poorly executed. But with this one, you get almost everything combined, but in a better executed way, with the mixing, the production, and just the instrumentation and all that electronic wise stuff sounded pretty good. And overall, this record impressed me. So I think they did a pretty good job on this record. One of my favorite albums of 2024 so far. It's not 10 out of 10 worthy, but it's still a great album. An excellent record in its own way. So 9.5 out of 10 for While She Sleeps, Self Hell, for their new record. Thank you for watching this album review today.